This is the first of 2 videos about words and word usage. In this video, we will be looking at choosing the right words to use. It is important to make sure that your documents are easy to understand, that your reader will not get bogged down because you're using words and phrases that are long and hard to interpret. In addition, we will look at commonly confused words and other tips about word choice. While we won't be going over all the details of these types of words, it is important that you review how to use these words correctly. A good grammar and style book will serve you well as a reference in this regard. What is important here is to be aware of the difference between major and minor words. Both are, of course, important if a sentence is to make sense. With minor words, for example, what is the difference between a and the? A is an indefinite article and the is a definite article. If you refer to a book, you mean any book, not one specific one. When you refer to the book, you mean a particular book, not just any book. While most students think they know the difference between these two, mixing them up is a common problem in student writing. Now, the major words are those that communicate ideas and actions, while the minor words hold the sentence together, in a sense. The minor words include the conjunctions that connect parts of the sentence, while prepositions link nouns and pronouns and other parts of the sentence, showing a relationship. Similarly, relative pronouns also show a relationship. They introduce relative clauses. When words like these listed here are omitted or misused, your sentence will no longer be clear. The reader might be able to guess what you mean, but if you are going to become a truly effective writer, you will need to be using these words carefully and accurately. While you may think that using words is easy, after all, we use them all the time, using them well is much harder. There is a tendency in professional and academic writing to feel like you need to use words with more than one syllable to sound intelligent and to impress your reader. In fact, it is much better to use plain language whenever possible. Even governments are now trying to have their employees write using plain language. So in this table, the province of Nova Scotia has created a list of words to help employees swap out the long words for the short ones. For example, instead of using the word acquire, you could just use get. So as in, we will acquire all new computers, you could use get and say, we will get all new computers. Similarly, the word allocate could be replaced by the word give. Consider, we will allocate computers to new employees versus we will give the computers to new employees. Or how about the phrase at the present time? Well, this simply means now, or the phrase for the duration of simply means during. Let's look at this example. For the duration of the study, please endeavor to utilize all tools and to facilitate cooperative learning. It's a little hard to understand, particularly for readers who are using English as a second language. So if we rephrase it using plain language, it could say, during the study, please try to use all tools and to help others in their learning. And that makes much more sense. And this is called fighting the fog. When you're writing in plain language, you are fighting the fog. So you're aiming for clarity by not stating things using complicated words or stating things that are overly obvious. Well, you don't want to assume that your reader knows what you mean all of the time. If what you are saying is something that is truly obvious, leave it out. When you're aiming for clarity, you want to reduce your word count and make every word and sentence matter. Think about money. You don't like to waste money and get nothing for it, so don't waste your words with obvious statements and redundant expressions. If something is really well known, then you should not need to say, it is well known that, or everyone knows that. Also, unless your ideas are particularly complex, you should only say it once. If you're repeating an idea in different words, make sure that you're doing so for a reason, and that the reason for doing so is clear. Usually, repeating a concept is intended to help clarify an aspect of your argument. Here we have an example of a mortgage contract that has not been written in plain language. And I'm going to read it on the screen here. It is agreed that in case of default shall be made. See, I can't even read it right. It is agreed that in case default shall be made in payment of any sum to become due for interest at any time appointed for payment thereof, as aforesaid, compound interest shall be payable, and the sum in arrears for interest from time to time, as well after before maturity, and so on. Anyway, I'm not going to read it all. Did you get it all? If you try and read it, you can see what I mean. So why should you write in a language that is so hard to understand that many people have no idea what they're signing when they get a mortgage? Here is the same concept but written in plain language. If a regular mortgage payment is late, we calculate the extra interest you owe for being late every day, using the annual interest rate of your mortgage. You pay interest on both the principal and the interest portion of the payment that is late. When we receive a payment, we will deduct the interest charges for the late payment and the interest owing on the principal amount first, before any part of the payment is applied to reducing the principal amount. We may also decide to apply the late payment to other amounts you may owe, for example, property taxes. Now this is much easier to understand. Now, in addition to clarity, you want to choose words that will make your writing more interesting and engaging. For example, most people overuse the be verbs. Be verbs tend to be dull and lifeless, so try to replace those words with action verbs. For example, you could say, he is angry. Now, is a be verb. If we replace it, we could say, his anger showed as he stomped away. Here the verb is showed. Or we could say, he stomped away in anger. The verb is now stomped. Both of these are now more interesting than what we started with. He is angry.